put the mic even closer. Last week's show sounded so good.
Oh, I know. There's nothing like that.
Oh, so good.
Because the internet compresses stuff. It's
I know.
Yeah, it was just a clean. You won't find cleaner audio than that podcast feed. That's just nothing.
And our numbers were boffo too. I don't know how much of it had to do with the quality of the audio or whatever the subject matter, but the numbers were really good.
Well, because you're the man. Honestly, if I had nothing to do with this show, you'd be appointment viewing for me. So, and we're live on your red carpet on that note. So,
nice.
I'll tweet the link while you chat with the fans.
Very flattering to hear from people who say, man, the stuff I get on the regular networks is the same stuff. It's the same crap. It's the same questions, blah, for the most part. And then they turn over here and it's like, wow, he's dropping F-bombs. He's upset. He's naming names. He's pointing fingers. He's asking for accountability.
Right.
All that stuff.
Right.
Which is what the way it used to be in the mainstream media. You ask the tough questions. You want the answers. Your viewers, your readers, your listeners deserve it. They depend on you to give them the truth, not rumors. I'm watching CP24 the other day. Yeah. One of their reporters, I think, is sort of a Cam Woolley kind of a guy, an ex-cop.
Yeah, Steve Ryan.
Is that the guy? So
yeah, because I have a brother named Steve and a brother named Ryan, so I always take note of this name. It's Steve.
I don't know. I'm watching this guy and I'm going, how can he get away with some of this? He's obviously not a journalist. So he's talking about, I don't even remember the incident. It might have been a fire. It might have been a robbery nearby, gang activity. And this guy, this reporter, in quotes, reporter, says, well, there's rumors going around that da-da-da-da-da. And I'm thinking, you're a reporter, dude.
Yeah.
You never say there's rumors going around, because as soon as you say what that rumor is, people think it's gospel. That's the truth.
Right. Hey, Hebsy, can we have too much space above your head? Is there any way you could
sure.
reduce the space above that big head of yours? Okay. Just so we're kind of level. Okay,
better?
Cool. Yeah. But Andrew Jeeves is...
No, tell me, am I okay here? Because I can't see myself.
Oh, okay. I thought you could see yourself. Yeah, much better. Much better.
If I could see myself, would I have framed it as poorly as you say I did?
Well, you can technically see yourself.
I can. Is it okay now?
Yeah, maybe one more inch. One more inch.
Oh my God, that's what she said.
It's too easy.
I know, it's too good. Let me. Oh, fuck. For fuck's sake.
Done. Perfect. I got the perfect, just a little space above that nice haircut you got from the anti-vaxxer.
Okay, my friend.
Good enough, I should say.
No, I just want to put this here. So
all the early chats on your YouTube channel are why not in the backyard studio? We teased them last week, and now we're back.
That's all right. Let me get some water.
Okay. H2O for my bro. Hello to everybody on Hebsy's YouTube channel. I got to tweet this link at Hebsy. There's a reminder for myself. I love it. Lethbridge checking in. Love it. So Gene Velitis, he's from even west of Lethbridge. Look at that. West Coast contingent. Andrew Jeeves. I would do it in the backyard every Friday. That's really Hebsy's call. So you can bug him about that. And Mike Kerr. Yeah, in person, everybody noticed the energy jump in person last week, but your energy is always high. So,
well, Mike, as well as anyone, to sit by yourself and to try to conduct an interview or have some type of interaction with someone who's not with you for any extended period of time is very difficult to maintain. Mike?
Yes,
Mike?
Guy, I'm tweeting at you.
Oh, sorry.
I'm tweeting at you. I have to go off mic here because I have, multiple machines at work here. This is a big enterprise.
You're funny. Okay, you tweeted out at me, so where is that?
Hold on. I'm doing it right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the red carpet for Hebsy on Sports, episode 250, our 250th anniversary.
Woo!
Think about that. That's a big anniversary. That's not a birthday. It's not our 250th birthday. It's our 250th anniversary. I think.
I don't know, because anniversary suggests yearly, and these are weekly. Or actually,
anniversary.
Yeah,
right.
and in the beginning, these were twice a week for a while, so we kind of padded the stats there. But then you took a break to write a book. How's that book going, by the way?
Which book is that?
I feel like you were writing a new book.
It's a screenplay.
Oh, a screenplay.
But it was a book, and then they said, man, nobody wants to read a book about a woman written by a man.
Oh.
Why not? And I said, wow. The publishers are like, wow, go ahead and go take a look at how many books are written about women by men. And the answer is not that many. And so why eliminate a good portion of your potential audience? Either write it under a female name, a pseudonym, get a woman to write it, or don't write a book, write a screenplay. People don't care. If it happens to be about a woman, no one's going to say, who wrote the screenplay? A man? I'm not going to watch that movie.
Okay.
And a friend of yours, a mutual friend of ours, but a friend of yours too, and I may have some discussions about writing a lengthy article, quote unquote, something that would have been in the newspapers, maybe a series or something like that.
Okay.
So we're trying to frame it so that enough people see the article and go, wow, what a great story. And then want to make a movie about it, a TV series about it, a Netflix series about it, whatever.
Can I guess who that is?
Yeah, sure.
Gare Joyce.
Guess who is?
Who this mutual friend is?
No, incorrect.
Okay. Only because he wrote the screenplay. Well, he wrote the book, and then they made that.
Wicked?
No,
not Wicked. What's the one with Jason Priestley?
Yeah, the Jason Priestley one. Private Eyes.
Yeah, that's it. Private Eyes.
But now that's been canceled. And he's an excellent writer, as you know. Like, I could see him doing something with this.
He moved away.
Kingston, yeah. I know. He dropped by the other day because he was in town for another reason. And yeah, he's happy in Kingston. He's a Toronto boy forever. Okay, I looked at the clock. It's 8:20. I mean, 9:20, not 8:20. Maybe 8:20 somewhere, but not here. 9:20. Ready when you are, brother. Okay.
Let's get it done, man.
Kids, get in there. I got questions for you, too. So this is going to be a good one. Okay. Recording in 5, 4, 3.
The following podcast is brought to you by Crosswinds Golf and Country Club in Burlington. When it comes to public golf courses in Ontario, nobody beats Crosswinds. Nobody. $1 million views of the Niagara Escarpments featuring Rattlesnake Point and Mount Nemo. Tremendous customer service and, of course, 18 holes of championship golf on a course that's so pristine, you won't believe your eyes. From the time you drive through the gates, you'll be treated like a member of a private club, even though Crosswinds is public. Grab a bite and bevy out on the patio after your round. Enjoy the splendor and beauty of Crosswinds. I'll be playing there 3 times next week.
Wow.
I missed it. I was away last week. You should go too. Seriously, check out crosswindsgolf.com, book your tee time online, and don't forget to tell them that Hebsy sent you. Now, Mike, let's begin the podcast. Live from Toronto, it's Hebsy on Sports, episode number 250. Woo! Hi there, sports fans. Mark Hebsher here. How big a number is 250? Look this big. It's not a big number at all, but we're pretending to be breathing rarefied air today in Little Italy. We're pretending that 250 is a big deal. We're pretending there's going to be a big ticker tape parade for our 250th anniversary, birthday, 250th, whatever it is. Maybe it's 250. Come on. Remember the first time that you hit 250, Mike?
250 for a highball.
And $1.50 for a beer. Good. Now, we're here to celebrate. And, of course, with us alongside a man who is closing in on 1,000 episodes of his own from the mothership in New Toronto. It's podcasting maven, Toronto Mike.
Hey, now.
Today on the show. Oh, sorry.
I was doing my
already sort of said hello.
My Hank Kingsley. I'm not used to you saying hello so early in the intro.
Well, get used to it. 250 more at least. We have a contract at least for that. So you're stuck with me for another few years. Today on the show, a review of my trip to the Kawarthas, where I stayed around the corner from Roger Nielsen Way and the Peterborough Memorial Center, home of Steve Yzerman, Bob Gainey, Doug Jarvis, Larry Murphy, the late Steve Chason, Ron Tugnut, Mike Ricci. If I forgot you, I'm sorry. The Peterborough Pete's, one of the great franchises in all of amateur sport. I'll tell you the story of a young boy who dreamed of doing play-by-play for the Toronto Maple Leafs a boy who once worked for Roger Nielsen and then covered Nielsen when he coached the Leafs. It's a great story. It's worthy of a 250th episode. The latest from the BlueJays, who got a huge boost from the Yankees, who choked and gagged in Baltimore last night and snatched defeat from the jaws of victory in the ninth inning. Oh, it was beautiful to watch. Oh, there's nothing like a Yankee meltdown. Ooh, it felt as good as the time that Vladdy took Aroldis Chapman out of the ballpark. Exit Velo 119, I think. Hey, by the way, is Vladdy back in the MVP conversation now that Ohtani is injured? I mean, he was a lock. Maybe there's a little opening for Vladdy there. It's got to win the Triple Crown, though, to do it. Does Charlie Montoyo have a shot at Manager of the Year? Of course he does. Is Charlie Montoyo a good manager? Hell no. Manager of the Year doesn't mean shit. Ask Paul Molitor. Ask Jeff Bannister. Ask any NHL coach who won the Jack Adams Award and found himself out of a job a year or so later. Manager of the Year is Kiss of the Death. It's the kiss of death. Man, it's been a long week. Mike, help me out here. How are you doing?
Hebsy, so much ground to cover today. I'm going to try to find the right time to sprinkle in these hot questions that the listenership has for you. But how the heck are you doing? I know you...
There's no time limit to this show, by the way. I know other shows you do, and you do many, have sort of this time frame. When we're finished talking about what we want to finish talking about, we'll end the show. If someone doesn't want to listen anymore, they can stop it, listen again, later, whatever. But don't give me this time thing. I went through it for many years when I worked in television. Hurry it up. Hurry. You've got 20 seconds. Come on, you've got to get this and that in. I had a producer who was in my ear one time, every time. Speed it up. I'd get that. How fast can I read? The highlights are only going so fast. How can I speed it up? Tell the tape operator to speed it up.
I've never, ever, ever told you to speed it up. That's for sure. But I do want to congratulate you.
You kind of are. I don't know if I have time.
Let's try to keep it under 2 hours. That's all I ask. I want to congratulate you on 250. Trust me, I know, my ears to the ground. You know how many few. What am I trying to say? There's very few podcasts that make it to episode 25, let alone 250. You should be very proud of yourself.
Mike, thank you. But 250 was an average number of shows to do every year when I worked in sports. Television, for sure. Sports line, 5 nights a week, pretty much 50 weeks a year. A couple weeks for vacation.
How many people worked on that show?
Well, besides me and Jim, we would have had a producer. Jim was the executive producer, I guess.
But you had cameramen and sound people and editors.
Oh, of course. So if you include the whole crew.
Yeah, the whole crew.
But the same crew would have done the news at 11 o'clock and then turn their cameras around, literally turn their cameras around to face our set on Sportsline at 11:30 live. It was all live television, remember?
Right.
And so the crew would have consisted of, when we started, we had 3 camera persons, not cameramen, 3 camera persons.
Right.
And let me tell you something else global from a diversity standpoint. I think anyway, there were many, many women in higher positions there, executive positions in news and such, and also manning camera. Oops, not manning cameras, handling cameras, audio, auto cue, directing, Chiron operator, all that.
Makeup.
Tape operator.
Was there a hairstylist?
Yep.
So, what are we talking? 20 people would have do something to make Sportsline hit the air?
I'd say more.
Okay, so the reason it's very different, how many people touch any part of Hebsy on Sports to make 250 episodes? Well, 2.
Well, me at this end and you at that end.
Okay, yeah, that's 2. Like 1 + 1 equals, what do you mean 1?
I got you.
So 2. So you might have 30 people working on Sportsline and you're pumping out all these episodes. There are 2 human beings who have anything to do, well, in addition to our wonderful sponsors at Crossway.
Well, you can't include the crew, because that crew would have been on shift to do whatever shows they were responsible for.
You got to include the crew, because they're still required to put Sportsline on the air.
You're right. That's very.
I know, I'm right. Once in a while, like a blind squirrel finding a nut. But that's 30 people maybe on Sportsline. There are 2 human beings putting these 250 episodes together. So I just want to pat you on the back and say, well done. Because last week when we were in the backyard, The feedback I got, I mean, even now on your YouTube channel, where people can watch us live every Friday at 9:20 a.m., the people, you were on fire. You sounded great, energized. I'm not saying this will be a letdown, episode 250, but I do miss seeing you in person. It was lovely. But you saw someone else, and again, if I'm jumping the ship here, you tell me. But you saw another a great host of sports broadcasting last week. In addition to
let's not say another, because now you're suggesting that person would be their status would be as high as mine was in my prime.
No, mine.
Oh, yours. Yeah, for sure. I was up in Peterborough, up in the Kawarthas for a few days. I love playing golf up there. I got some friends up there. Pete Dalladay is a buddy of mine up there. Big radio star on Fresh FM. Morning man, does the Peterborough Lakers lacrosse. Peterborough Pete's hockey. His dad was a big star, Gary Dalladay, the Diller, very famous in Peterborough. If anybody ever had a cottage up in the Kawarthas, and the only channel you could get was Czechs in Peterborough on rabbit ears. Czechs TV was the place. Like Gary Dalladay did the sports, and he'd give you the BlueJays stuff and whatever. Anyway, so we were up there for a while, and we played 3 gorgeous golf clubs. We played the Peterborough Golf and Country Club. We played Wildfire Golf and Country Club, and we played another Stanley Thompson course, Kawartha Golf and Country Club. And the first day we played with the great Dan O'Toole.
Whoa!
Yeah,
how's he doing?
He's from up there. He lives up there.
Yeah, he lives in Orono.
That's right. And Orono's not far from Peterborough.
No, I mean, well, how's everybody needs to know?
Minutes.
This is the big thing. How the hell is our buddy Dan O'Toole doing?
Yeah, well, he's still looking for golf balls now as we speak. I'm pretty sure he's found his ball. I posted a picture today of a shot of Dan. It's a long shot. It's him with his golf cart that he was sharing with Pete Dalladay that day. And Pete had sort of said, go find your ball. And he hit a ball that went off a tree, and then he found the ball, and then he hit it again. It went off a different tree and bounced sort of sideways and almost killed himself. The ricochet of his golf ball, the ball came back towards him. It was quite funny, actually. No, Dan can hit it, man. We had a good time, a fun time. But here's the thing. I got like 5 hours worth of Dan O'Toole.
Right.
And I got 0 out of Jay Onrait because I watch him on TV, but not the personal connection. So this afternoon for lunch today, in like a couple of hours, I'm having lunch with Jay Onrait.
Oh my God, look at you.
Because I have to have both. I can't just have the one side of the Jay and Dan experience. I got to have both. And then next week I'm working on Tim and Sid, right? See if I can, have lunch or golf or both, that kind of a thing.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I'll be doing Bob Cole and Harry Neal in a few weeks.
Wow.
I'll be, all the duos that I love.
Bert and Ernie.
If I can't, Bert and Ernie for sure. Ron and Don.
Wow.
The idea, of course, would be great to get 2 people together, famous people together that were a famous duo, to get them together and have lunch and chat and maybe do, not a show, but it would be interesting to hear their comments years later. Now, the funny thing is, Mike, I know that you've been trying to get me and Jim Taddy together to talk about the good old days and stuff like that. Right. But you've been unsuccessful.
Correct.
But I have a dilemma here, and I have to discuss this with you, is that another podcaster has managed to secure Jim Taddy as a guest and had asked me if I would come on his show. And my initial reaction was, I can't do it, man, because Mike and I have a relationship here. It would be better if Mike did that show, that, Sportsline Reunion or whatever. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
This guy's a friend of mine too. His name's Joe Tilley.
Oh, yeah. No, listen.
Sportscaster for many years.
Here's my question. Does Jim Taddy know that you're going to be on this episode?
I don't know.
Because that's the thing.
Joe. I didn't ask.
I didn't want to blindside. I think I could have done this if I blindsided Jim, but I didn't want to blindside Jim.
Well, here's the difference. See, Joe Tilley wouldn't do that. He wouldn't blindside Jim. I think he has a similar relationship. I don't know for sure. But you have nothing to worry about. Your reputation isn't as a longtime television sportscaster, right? You could pull something like that off. The worst thing that could happen would be Jim said, I'll never speak to you again. but you never really had a relationship with him in the first place.
Right.
There you go. Anyway.
So obviously,
anyway,
for the record, I bless this connect because I can't get Jim to do my show.
I delayed it. And then finally Joe said to me, listen, man, I think the listeners would want to hear it. And so I didn't want to get in the middle of your negotiations with Jim Taddy to get him on the show with me to do one of those deep dives. Joe's show really isn't like that.
Well, let me ask you this. How many times, if you wanted a guest on your program, how many times would you hear the word no thank you before you stopped asking?
Oh, once.
Yeah, right. So I haven't asked Jim in years because I got the second no thank. I did, and it's over years, but I asked him. So 2 no thank yous. I know when to just leave the guy alone. He doesn't want to do dynamite. Yeah.
After the first no thank you, was there an opening? Was there a crack? Was there a scintilla of hope?
Yeah. Yes.
Did you leave the conversation with, well, perhaps we can?
There was a little hope. It wasn't
maybe down the road we can revisit this.
Yeah, there was a sliver of maybe one day, but not now. And then I saw what happened was I saw on the social media that you and Jim Taddy had golf together. So I asked him now, hey, maybe things have warmed up. How about it? And I got another no thank you. So now it's been a couple of years since I bothered Jim about this because Jim knows how to reach me. And if the man doesn't want to do Toronto Mike, I'm not going to make him. I'm not going to beg him to do it. So I say Joe Tilley, one of the nicest guys. Yeah, I do. On Joe Tilley's show, I want you to beg him because the numbers for the Jim Taddy, Mark Hebscher reunion on Toronto Mike are going to be enormous.
Yeah, but can you take those numbers to a sponsor and say, we need to make some money here? I mean, it's a one-off.
I think
you should keep trying.
Okay.
But I think that after we do the Joe Tilley podcast, I think that door will be open a little bit more. The Jim will be more amenable.
Maybe I need all 3 of you on the show. I'll just circumvent Jim and get all of you guys on.
Why not? That'd be a good one.
Oh,
there's a sports media roundtable for you.
I know you can't talk out of tell tales out of school, as Norm Macdonald would say, the late great. But the Dan O'Toole discussions. Did you hear on the golf course the real talk, as we say? Did you get the okay? And I take it he asked you to keep it on the QT on the down low.
No.
What can you tell us about Dan's? Is he still upset about it all, or has it all worked out?
He's being paid for quite a while longer, so knowing that, he can't say anything. Once he's not being paid anymore by Bell Media, then I'm sure he can talk. Unless he has to sign a non-disclosure agreement.
Wow.
I don't know, but
he's well. He's
he's healthy. Hits the ball a mile.
Okay, good.
Doesn't always know where it's going, but hits the ball a mile.
Good stuff.
And he's enjoying life with his children in Omimi or where is it?
Orono.
That's right.
Omimi's where Neil Young is from.
Yeah, actually, Neil Young just bought a place on Buckhorn Lake. Neil Young's a golfer.
Yeah,
Okay,
I didn't know that, but I knew he was. I knew he was in Ontario right now.
He just bought a place on Buckhorn Lake.
I think Freddie P.
People we've golfed with.
Yeah.
Have the island next to Neil Young's island.
Yeah. This is all near where. Go ahead.
Neil Young will play very loud music that travels across the water at quite the speed of sound, I guess you could say. That's the story of Neil Young on Buckhorn Lake.
Long may he run.
Lower Buckhorn. Okay, so the Blue Jays begin a weekend series with the Minnesota Twins tonight at the Dome, with every game, every inning, every pitch becoming more and more important as 3 teams battle for the 2 wildcard spots available in the American League. The Jays are 82-64 and hold the home field advantage over the Red Sox, who are 83-65, and the Yankees, who are 82-65. And Oakland and Seattle just watching at this point, really. They're 3 and 4 games back, respectively. They got to do some serious jumping over to get into this race. And so this weekend, it's Toronto versus Minnesota at the Dome. The Yankees play host to Cleveland. The Red Sox host Baltimore. Excuse me. Now, the Orioles have been a huge pain in the ass as they attempt to play the spoiler role every night. And I know teams that love this. They let no pressure on them at all. Knocking off a team like the Yankees or the Red Sox or the Blue Jays is akin to winning the World Series to these sad sack teams. These teams who have been out of the race since April, right? Whose fans are doing a great job being disguised as empty seats. And really, there's some really bad teams that long time ago gave up on any hope of making the playoffs. And these are the teams that played the spoilers. These are the teams like the Orioles, who, by the way, had their grounds crew kicked out of a game by the umpires this week in one of the great ejections of all time. The Orioles stunned the Yankees last night in rainy Baltimore and beat them 3-2 in the 10th inning, doing the Jays and the Red Sox a huge favor.
Yes.
Now, the Yankees led 2-1 entering the bottom of the ninth. Stop me if you've heard this before. Yankees lead entering the bottom of the ninth. What are the chances they're going to blow this lead? The Yankees! Like never. In the Mariano Rivera years, never. In the Goose Gossage years, never. In the Aroldis Chapman years, sometimes. Could happen. And it did last night when the Yankees threw up all over themselves, thanks to a pair of wild pitches from relief pitcher Clay Holmes in one of the worst displays of lead protection I have ever seen in all my years watching the great game of baseball. With one out and the tying run at first base, Holmes wild pitches the runner to second. So now he's in scoring position. Is there any baseball announcer that doesn't say that, the obvious? When the runner goes to second, does he not go, no, he's in scoring position? As if I don't know what scoring position is. As if a chimpanzee would know. I know what scoring position is second base. Oh, my God. But it's sort of an automatic. They have to say it. Oh, he's at second base. He's in scoring position. Yeah. Anyway, so there's one out. Tying runs now at second base after this wild pitch. And then after a ground out, the runner's at third with 2 outs. And this guy Holmes gets 2 strikes on the hitter. And then he nearly throws one over Gary Sanchez's head, the catcher. Now, Sanchez might be the worst fielding catcher in all of baseball. He's only in there because of his bat, and he only hits about 210 anyway. But in the 9th inning, for this guy to be catching with the tying run at third, I'm nervous if I'm a Yankees fan. I'm shitting myself, especially since this guy Holmes can't find the plate. So he throws one like 101 over Sanchez's head, and Sanchez makes this great grab to prevent the wild pitch. And then 2 pitches later, he throws it even harder over his head, off his glove, wild pitch, tying run scores, and then the Orioles win it in the 10th inning.
Wow.
So here's the Yankees, the great New York Yankees from the great metropolitan city, blah, 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 New York City, Gotham City, who are crumbling in September. It's wonderful to see. I'm giddy seeing the Yankees all those years, and not just recently, your father, your grandfather's years, all those years, DiMaggio, Ruth, Garrett, Mantle, Reggie Jackson, on and on, Derek Jeter. The Yankees, never in September do they crumble. But this September, they're crumbling, and it's beautiful, beautiful to see.
Wow.
So tonight, the Blue Jays send 13-game winner Hyunjin Ryu to the mound against Michael Pineda of the Twins. And the MVP talk is resumed with regards to Vladimir Guerrero Jr. because Vladdy has a shot at the Triple Crown. And Triple Crown winners always, Mike, always end up being the MVP.
But they don't always pitch.
Right. That's correct. Ted Williams. Is that a call for me?
That's Jim
people
Taddy.
know not to phone you.
Yeah, it's Jim Taddy. Hold on.
Jim Taddy call?
Jim. Yeah. Okay. No, I'll talk to him later. I'll talk to Jim later.
Yeah. Do we need to put a sign here? Please turn off your phone.
I'm surprised you
before
could
the
hear
show
that
begins.
actually with these mics. Okay.
I have very good ears.
Yeah.
Anyway, so listen to this. Triple Crown winners always end up being the MVP. But hitting 400 doesn't guarantee you an MVP award. Did you ever hear the story of Ted Williams? 1941, this guy hits 406.
Right.
No one's come close.
Right.
1941, didn't win the MVP. Why? Some guy named DiMaggio hit in 56 consecutive games. Now, this is a rare feat that in the same season, these 2 milestones could be reached, neither of which anyone has come close to equaling. Right. In the same season it happened. It would be like saying, can you imagine if in the same season a guy pitched and hit at the very top of both categories the same year that another guy won the Triple Crown Award?
Right.
Who do you give the MVP to? Now, Vladdy's not going to win the Triple Crown because he's too many RBIs behind Sal Perez. In fact, Perez and he are tied for homers, 45, and Sal's got like 112 RBI, and Vladdy's only got 103. Right. But the difference is this. The rest of the Blue Jay order that surrounds Vladdy is doing pretty well. Teoscar Hernandez also has 103 RBI. Marcus Semien, 94 RBI. Bo Bichette, 93 RBI. Randall Grichuk, 81 RBI. Lourdes Gurriel Jr., 80 RBI. A healthy George Springer would probably have 75 or 80 RBI if he could stay in the lineup. What kind of teams have this? I haven't looked it up. I'm sure somebody's going to find it. But who has the record for like the most 100 RBI players in one season or 90 RBI players? It's crazy how many runs these guys are scoring. It's nuts. And so, like I said last time, just before the weekend began, and I said they would take 3 of 4 against Baltimore, and they did. Mm-hmm. And then I said they would sweep Tampa Bay, but I forgot who was pitching in that one game for Tampa Bay who shut us out. So they took 2 out of 3. People do not want to face this baseball team. Will Vladdy win the MVP? Probably not. Does he deserve it? Sure, he's had an amazing season, especially for a 22-year-old. Unprecedented. Mm-hmm. And we have many years of great baseball to look forward to and smiles with this guy. But Shohei Ohtani is the prohibitive favorite, even though he's got a sore arm. He's not going to pitch tonight, and they say may not pitch the rest of the season. Why risk it? There's only, 15 games to go?
Right.
So 3 starts maybe? No. Not worth it. If he's got a bad arm, shut him down. He's going to finish the season having a great record, ERA of 3.30 or something like that. Tremendous. And will win the MVP because no singular player in the history of baseball has had an individual season like this guy. The only other thing he could possibly do would win a Gold Glove, but he doesn't play defense that often. But he could win it as a pitcher. So imagine you're a Gold Glove winning pitcher, great fielder, great pitcher, amazing hitter. Oh, Vladdy is only an amazing hitter and a pretty good fielder and getting better, but he can't pitch.
Yeah, no doubt. Ohtani's got this locked up, even if he doesn't play again this season. But
he's a freak.
It's absolutely, and I think he had it locked up at the All-Star game. Actually, I feel like it.
But people like to talk about it. Is there a chance? And Vladdy is having. Really, think about this. Vladdy leads the league in hits, runs scored, batting average. He's tied in home runs. He leads the league in on-base percentage, slugging percentage. I mean, that's remarkable. But Ohtani's a freak, and nobody in the history of the game has pitched and batted at such a high level over the course of the season. He will win the MVP. I don't know. Hopefully, Vladdy doesn't have a clause in his contract that gives him another couple $100,000 if he wins the MVP. If so, he picked the wrong year to break out. He should have waited a year.
Right.
And he might win it next year.
Hebsy, I should have taken the effort to pull a clip from the episode we recorded the Friday morning that TMLX 8 happened. I think it was August 27. If I pulled the clips, you were so down. You were down on this team. You were down on Vladdy. You basically said this season was over. I think, there's a few.
I wasn't the only one.
No. I mean,
you want to pull my clip out, but you don't want to pull the clips of any other people who have podcasts or media, what they were saying at the exact same time.
I don't judge you for this.
When they were 9.5 games back of the Yankees.
I don't judge you for this. I merely think it's just astronomical. It's so fantastic what happened to this team over the last few weeks. Like what a run, what a sequence of events that now we feel like we're the front runners to win this wild card.
But Mike, if you recall, I've been saying all along, this team has to go because the Yankees had gone on a winning streak and the Red Sox, this team had to go on a streak, not 4 in a row.
Right.
They had to win 10 in a row. They had to win 12 of 14. They had to win, 16 of 20. And that's what they've done. Over a prolonged period, they've gained on the Yankees in Boston because of the fact that they put a real streak together. That's the one thing they hadn't done. Springer's in, Springer's out. This guy, but they've all come together at the absolute right time where they're all healthy. Their starting pitching is better than any other teams. And nobody wants to play this team. But that is a remarkable run. But they had to do it.
Right. Unbelievable.
They had to run off a huge streak.
And Hebsy, man, you were also calling for Charlie Montoyo's head. Like you wanted him gone yesterday.
Nope. You're wrong.
Clarify everything.
He's not going to be the manager next season.
Okay, so you said let him finish the string here.
Well, I just said, listen, I mean, they're happy and they're winning. Yeah.
Now,
once they started to lose, I didn't say you got to fire the manager. Nobody does that.
Well, can you speak to this chatter I'm hearing here and there about Charlie Montoyo being manager of the year?
Well, let me put it this way for you. I never pay attention to manager. I don't know about you, but I never sit around with my friends and never have going, geez, I wonder who the manager of the year is going to be. Because generally the manager of the year is the guy who took his team from a shitty season the year before to a season better than anyone thought. right? It's a team that won 87 games one year and 104 the next year. It's a team that had 59 wins one year, and then they were a 500 team. And in recent years, Jeff Bannister of Texas, 95-67 the Rangers were in 2016. Remember what a good team they were? Remember they played the Blue Jays in the playoffs? Remember, Mike?
Yes.
95-67. He was the manager of the year. He got fired 2 years later.
Right.
You know, we loved you then, not so much now. And an even worse example or better example is Paul Molitor of the Twins. 2017 manager of the year, fired after the 2018 season. And who's manager of the year in 2019 in the American League? Rocco Baldelli of the Twins. So winning manager of the year is the kiss of death. So I hope Charlie wins manager of the year.
And now that we're talking Jays, I think this is the appropriate time for me to ask the question I think all your listeners are thinking about right now. 6 or 7 weeks ago, you broke the story on Hebsy on Sports that Buck Martinez was not vaccinated and did not intend to be vaccinated. And that's why Buck is not coming to Canada, because he'd have to quarantine and all these rules. I don't even know if he's allowed in, but he's not here because he's not vaccinated. You broke the story. I shone a light on your declaration, received a lot of pushback from I think Buck fanatics or whatever, who wanted me to show them some
Buck fanatics?
There are Buck fanatics out there.
But wait a second. If you say that wrong, it sounds a lot worse.
All right.
Buck fanatics.
Yeah, I got to be careful.
Buck fanatics.
But then this past week, Steve Simmons wrote in the Toronto Sun that Buck Martinez is not vaccinated, and that's why he's not in Canada calling games at the Dome. So all of a sudden, I mean, I had to have your back on this. I'm all over the place saying, you got to credit Hebsy with this scoop. Hebsy had this 6 weeks ago. We heard crickets for 6 weeks, and then suddenly a mainstream media publication like the Toronto Sun writes about it, and now it's news. Can you speak to this? What's that about?
Yeah, Steve Simmons had the story before me. He just sat on it for 6 or 8 weeks, tested out But
that's a long time to sit on it. Isn't it? Isn't that a long time?
I'm being facetious.
Okay.
Mike.
I couldn't tell.
I don't believe Steve Simmons was aware or cared about it. He may have, but didn't pursue the story. And then after a while, I guess somebody said, hey, Buck's still in Florida. It's kind of weird the way they're doing it. But you know what? Honest to God, if you think I'm sitting around waiting for a credit from fucking Steve Simmons,
but isn't that the decent thing to do? To say,
oh, come on. Do I care?
I heard Greg Brady give you credit on his 640 morning show. He
Nice,
mentioned the story and he said,
again,
go ahead.
I'm way past that. I don't care. It doesn't do me any good. Hey, they just credited you with, well, credited me with what?
Do you think there are some people who did not believe Hebsy until they read it in a second source? Do you think, because it's a bunch of people suddenly were like, oh shit, Hebsy was right. But of course Hebsy was right.
I don't care. Anybody that listens to this show knows me. Anybody that I don't think anyone that listened to this show stopped listening because I said that Buck Martinez wasn't vaccinated and didn't plan on being vaccinated. And do I have to back it up? No, it's up to you to prove me wrong. It's not up to me to prove to you that I'm right. You can either believe me or not believe me. And if you listen to this show or watch this show with any regularity, you know that I tell the truth. I don't tell stories out of school. I don't say, and if I did, I would say it's a rumor, right? And even then, I'm loath to do that because the word rumor, scuttlebutt, means it's not true. And it hasn't been confirmed.
It means you don't trust your source if you think it's a rumor.
Right.
If you trusted your source, you'd say this is the fact of the matter.
And the other thing is always, who is your source? Now, when people start asking me, who's my source? How about me?
Right.
I'm the source.
Right.
I got the story, worked for it, confirmed it, have the source. That's my story.
Yeah, you're my source.
I'm going to reveal the source to you? No, because my source won't be my source anymore.
Right, and your source is on the inside, and you owe your source that anonymity. Yeah,
that's right. Or they won't be a source anymore.
For blowing the whistle.
Nor will anyone else. Trust me. And that's what it comes down to. It's trust, Mike. It's trust.
Well, listen,
if you don't trust me, don't listen to the show. But if you do, believe that what I'm telling you is the truth.
Hebsy, a couple of quick things here. One is that the day you made that declaration on Hebsy on Sports, which was the first I had heard of this, I wrote about it on TorontoMike.com. I won't write about it unless I trust the source. My source was Hebsy. I trust Hebsy. Okay, so that happened. And that's when, don't kid yourself, that's when all the journalists in this market who cover the Jays became aware of the story that day. So that's 6-7 weeks ago. So why is it that I need to know? I asked you that, and I want to tell the listeners that after we recorded Hebsy on Sports in My Backyard last week, we then recorded 90 minutes all about Canadian sports media on the Sports Media Roundtable on Toronto Mike, which people love, by the way. You were on fire for that episode. And I asked the same question then before the Simmons story came out. Why is the mainstream media, if you will, why did they sit on this story for 6 or 7 weeks? Like, what's that about?
I can't answer that for you, Mike. I don't believe that anybody at Sportsnet would have pursued the story because it's a Sportsnet internal issue, I guess. TSN, they don't cover much baseball. They kind of leave that to Rogers, but certainly I don't think Scott Mitchell, who's their baseball reporter, for example, or Steve Phillips, who's their expert, would have felt comfortable delving into this story. Maybe they didn't think it was that important. And in fact, really, it's not that important in the grand scheme of things. This is a baseball team that's going for a playoff spot. What happens with their broadcast crew is not really that important. It's not of any national importance. We're really going, what the heck's going on over there? Because they're doing a very good job of covering the game, according to a lot of people. Oh, I don't notice a difference. I couldn't tell you that Buck wasn't there. Well, sure, we're used to hearing a nice mix of audio and announcer sound and making it appear as if the announcer is at the game. People are becoming very, very, very good at that. So much so that even radio crews aren't going on the road. Ben Wagner's not on the road. Joe Bowen and Jim Ralph will do every Leafs road game from home. Every one. You don't think it's difficult? Man, it's tough enough when you're at the game to be able to swivel your head on a swivel. What's going on over there? What's at the bench? What's going on down there? Imagine trying to do that from monitors at home. A hockey game. That's tough, man. And the viewer and the listener are not being served. And so in this particular case here, not that many people are upset that Buck isn't in Toronto. They're perfectly happy when Dan and Pat Tabler are doing the games in Toronto. And on the road, it's like, Buck's a disembodied voice anyway. We don't see him at the game, but he seems to know what he's doing, except he's a couple seconds behind the play. But all that stuff, after a while, you sort of take it. You're not listening. Unless you're listening to other broadcasts and going, wow, they're good. How come the Jays announcers don't sound as good when they're doing the games?
So
but
tonight,
quite frankly, Mike, I don't know other broadcasts. I could listen, and I'm not sure if they're at the game or not. Honest to God.
But what about
unless I see them there?
What about the example it sets for Blue Jays fans? Like it can't look good on Rogers that one of their A-team personalities in front of the camera refuses to get the vaccination. Like that's got to be something that they're concerned with PR-wise.
If I told you that 25% of Rogers and TSN on-air people aren't vaccinated, what would you say?
I would be shocked at that number being so high.
Okay. See, I don't know for a fact. I have no idea. But if we were allowed to ask and they had to answer as to whether they were vaccinated or not, I don't know. I have no idea.
But there's
sports teams, television announcers, does their company have a mandate that you must be fully vaccinated to work there to enter the building? And if not, are you perfectly fine at home in your little studio, your hermetically sealed studio, unvaccinated, doing television or radio? I guess.
That's fine. But for Buck, specifically with Buck, it does matter, right? Because there's
should matter.
But there's a border involved, and Buck would, let's face it, if Buck was fully vaccinated, he would probably be calling the games of Dan in person, these important games at the Dome. He'd be there in person instead of Pat.
No,
no,
I don't think so. I think if they were to send Buck on the road in the United States, where he's allowed to, I guess, go, not crossing any international borders, why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they have sent him to New York or Baltimore or hop a flight? You and Pat, get over there. You guys are Americans. So Rogers being cheap, because whether Buck's vaccinated or not vaccinated, they weren't going to be sending him on the road to games.
But I mean, the games at the Dome.
A convenient excuse, Mike.
But games at the Dome, right? Like it wouldn't be Pat and Dan. It would likely be, Dan and Buck. If Buck
don't know that for
could be at the Dome, but okay. So probably.
Do you not like the way Dan and Pat sound?
I no, you don't know. I'm merely saying that this is not like a personal health decision that somebody's making. That it's actually affecting this person's ability to do his job, which would be, for example, being at the Dome to call games.
I
with
think
Dan
his
Shulman.
job is to be the color commentator. Buck's a color commentator. Buck and Dan are a great duo. Dan does play-by-play, defers to Buck. Buck's the color analyst.
Sure.
Now you get guys coming from the dark side. They were players. They were analysts. Nah, they're another play-by-play guy. You can't have it both ways. You're a play-by-play guy. You're a color guy. You can't be both. Trust me, I know. I know, Mike. I know. You know how I know?
How do you know?
Once upon a time, there was a young boy who loved sports so much, he would call play-by-play of road hockey games from his bedroom window.
Who's this guy?
With chicken pox. His dream was to become the play-by-play broadcaster for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Dream? Ha! Good luck. A fantasy if there ever was one. How could this young boy from suburban Toronto ever get a chance to climb into the Maple Leaf Gardens gondola and call play-by-play of a Toronto Maple Leafs game? How could that possibly happen? Foster Hewitt, Bill Hewitt, those were his heroes. Right. Even Danny Gallivan from the Montreal Forum, heroes. A chance to sit up and watch the game and describe the action to viewers and listeners. What a great job. And when this young boy grew into a man and entered the broadcasting business, he came closer and closer to realizing his dream. He was on the air. And pretty soon, one night, Lady Luck struck in the form of Joe Bowen's ailing back. You see, Joe was the play-by-play man for the Maple Leafs on radio for many, many years. And this young man was his color commentator. After a very successful career in sports television, he was the color commentator, even though he had never played a game in the NHL or any other hockey league for that matter. He was the color analyst. He would have been the play-by-play man and was supposed to be originally, but there was a bit of a problem there, which we'll get into another time. And then one night in November of 1996, November 23rd, as a matter of fact, he felt a tap on his shoulder at Maple Leaf Gardens. It was Bob Stellick, the PR director for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And Stellick said, Joe Bowen hurt his back. You're doing play-by-play tonight on the radio. And so on that fateful day, with the Leafs hosting the Montreal Canadiens at Maple Leaf Gardens, yours truly and young Andy Frost called the Leafs-Canadiens game.
The TV crew to finish up with they're waiting for Bob Cole to get upstairs. That's it. Like I say, they're just delaying the start, which is okay. Doug Gilmour will start at center for the Maple Leafs. Wendell Clark on his left flank. Mike Craig on the right. Matthew Schneider and Dave Ellett on defense. It's Wyshynski, Domfus, and Bure, Quintal, and Popovich, and we're set to go. Mark Fawcett drops it and we're underway. Leafs and Canadiens for the only time at Maple Leaf Gardens this year. And Wyshynski on the left wing boards loses it. Gilmour in the center zone. Now Schneider to Dave Ellett. Waiting and flipping one high. Trying to get it past Popovic. Craig in the corner goes after it. Takes a bump and down he goes to Popovic. Gilmour takes it away from Wyshynski. Centers it, but it's knocked away. Now Clark, near right circle. Takes a shot that's deflected. Now Craig at the side of the net. Here's Gilmour trying to get in front. Can't get it to his stick. Ellett with a shot. It's blocked. And the Leafs right off the bat with a couple of good chances. Clark with a hit in the center zone. Knocks down Wyshynski. Here come the Maple Leafs with Mike Craig. Right down the right wing. Gives it to Gilmour. Back to Craig in the corner. Going around the net. Centers the shot. He scored! The Leafs take a 1-0 lead. Pressing right from the opening faceoff. The line of Gilmour, Clark, and Craig. The Habs just couldn't contain the Leafs in their own zone. The Leafs have taken an early lead here at the 43-second mark. Surprising most people in the building. Matthew Schneider. Citizen number 9, Mike Craig. And number 93, Doug Gilmour. Time 43 seconds. Well, it was Schneider that came pitching in from the point. And Sharon Nash of London shopped at the Dominion Savings Center, used the saving card, and automatically entered and traveled the world. Congratulations, Sharon. You won a selection of products from Wall featuring the home haircutting kit on Matthew Schneider's goal at 43 seconds. So Schneider scoring his 4th of the year, and the Leafs off to the early lead. Here's Berezan in the lineup tonight despite the sore
Hebsy, I
wrist.
got chills. That was well done, buddy. Amazing.
That's the way play-by-play is supposed to be. That's the way I always envisioned it. The play-by-play called the play, and when the play was over, the color commentator would step in to recap what had just sort of happened.
Right.
Because I'm like frantic, back and forth, and Craig and the Snyder, and then Andy Frost. There's the crowd roars, and then Andy's all right. Leafs was pressured. So-and-so scored, and then the play-by-play guy comes back in to call the play-by-play. That was a very exciting night.
And you got a goal
and
43
again, the story
seconds
was
in.
that Joe had hurt his back.
Right.
I don't know if that's the truth or not. I never asked Joe about it. Right. It's sort of like, I'm not coming into work today. What's the matter? I hurt my back. I mean, it could have been anything. Right. Sure. But I mean, who's going to ask? What do you mean you hurt your back? Prove it. Where's it? You got a doctor's note? So, the next time I saw Joe, like, I don't know, a few days later, whenever the Leafs' next game was, how you doing? He's going, fine. Okay.
I thought you were going to say
back on the plane, back in the gondola.
You took like a pipe to his back or something. And
no, but imagine getting the tap on the shoulder. You're doing play-by-play tonight.
And I loved hearing the Paul Morris call there too. I always loved the way Paul Morris announced the goals at Maple Leaf Gardens.
I was convinced that they hired Paul Morris because he brought out the best in the acoustics of Maple Leaf Gardens. Nobody really knew how great the sound could be at Maple Leaf Gardens. But out of that PA system, and they improved on that over the years too.
Sure.
That's the sound of his voice, those pipes.
And he's still with us. Do you have any contact with Paul Morris at all?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Unfortunately. So if I would have told you that this same young man had grown up to have his fantasy realized, his sports fantasy of doing play-by-play for the Leafs, and then after that, remarkable career in sports broadcasting, would host 250 sports podcasts and live to celebrate that feat, I'd have called you crazy, out of your mind. That kid on Regis Drive, calling road hockey games from his bedroom window. Folks, if I could do it, you can do it. But you're not going to do it because the broadcasting business isn't the same. You'll never have the chances that I had. You just won't.
And that's
unless
one to grow on.
You happen to be, how can I put this without hurting everyone's feelings? Unless you happen to be in such a minority that your group has never been properly represented in sports television, you've got no chance.
Is that your way of saying, like, if you're a straight white guy, don't even try?
That's right. In golf, Mike, the PGA Tour is back after a 10-day hiatus. That's right. They took 10 days off from the end of last season to the start of this season. I mean, you should golf every day, right? That's what I want to do. The Fortinet Championship is being played in, anybody? Napa, California. Former Canadian Open winner Chaz Reavie leads at 7 under. Canada's Adam Hadwin from BC is one back at -6. Nick Taylor, Roger Sloan, 2 under. Tour newcomer Adam Svensson from Surrey, BC is also 2 under. Michael Gligic of Burlington. Taylor Pendrith of Richmond Hill, both at 1 under. By the way, Pendrith's sister, Jennifer Pendrith, is the greens superintendent at Kawartha Golf Club, where I played the other day. Wow.
Small world.
Beautiful shape, gorgeous golf course. So that Pendrith family doing okay in the golf. The women are playing the Cambia Portland Classic in Portland, Oregon. Brooke Henderson tied for 10th after an opening round of 2 under par. The leader is a young lady from Thailand whose name is very difficult to pronounce, so I won't even bother because I know I'll blow it and I'll hurt her feelings, and I don't want to do that. I looked at it 4 or 5 times and I'm like, wow, I could not say this name. I admit it. I'm a professional broadcaster. I could not pronounce that name.
Wow.
It's a tough name to pronounce, but not as tough as Giannis Antetokounmpo. I'm going to be playing Crosswinds a couple of times next week. Let me tell you, September golf is spectacular. It's the best. Weather's perfect. Look at that hat that Mike's got on there at the Crosswinds Golf and Country Club. The course is in magnificent shape. You've got to get out there and play this gem of a course, nestled between Rattlesnake Point and Mount Nemo under the Niagara Escarpment. It is beautiful. Take your camera, book your tee time online at crosswindsgolf.com, and tell them Hebsy sent you. Mike, you want to talk a little sports media?
Yeah, in fact, some of your listeners asked me to make sure I ask you about the return of Cabby.
The return to what?
Well, to Canada. Like, didn't he go to Las Vegas or something? Like, he left Sportsnet, right? Went to Vegas, and now he's made
Sportsnet. What are you talking about? Are we talking about the same guy?
Oh, at TSN. Where he left TSN? I don't even know where Cabby was, to be honest.
You don't even know, and you expect me to know.
TSN, I know. But I guess
you don't know either.
I don't know.
Because it's not that big a deal. I mean, Cabby's a great guy. Cabby was my assistant when I worked at The Score.
Wow.
He's a wonderful guy. A hard-working, gregarious, funny trailblazer.
Mm-hmm.
But like he wasn't like he was anchoring the evening sports, or he was on once in a while, Cabby on the Street and Cabby Presents and stuff, and great fun stuff. But it's not like a major anchor of ours or a play-by-play guy who went to the States forever, like Jay and Dan did years ago. Picked up and left. I don't know how long Cabby's been gone for. What show did he leave?
Honest to God, because I care nothing about sports gambling and sports betting. I have no idea.
Okay. So in the meantime, Cabral Richards is back. He signed a deal with Sportsnet. It's beautiful because he'll be on all the Sportsnet shows, TV shows, radio shows.
Right. Tim and Friends and those things.
Tim and Friends and the Fan 590 and all that, because he knows all those people. And especially Tim and Friends, because Cabby and Tim, I don't say grew up together, but yeah, pretty close. They were interns and assistants at The Score when I was there.
Right.
And all around the same age. And
everybody seems to like Cabby. Like everybody seems to be happy to see him.
Not a kid, but a super nice guy.
Right.
And let's be honest, as innovative as they come, because unless he managed to convince the folks at The Score to let him go out on the street with a camera and do stuff with athletes or about sports, offbeat stuff, and that was great stuff. But the other networks weren't doing that. TSN wasn't doing that. Sportsnet wasn't doing that. But The Score was doing stuff like that. Besides running highlights all the time.
Yeah, like Stuttering John.
I anchored on The Score for about a year. It was a whole different thing. So Cabby really got his feet wet there when he was allowed to, given the opportunity to, show what he could do in a very, very fun, like a fun environment. Like you ask Jerry D, ask any of these guys that, here's a camera, get out in the street. They're called streeters. Do the man on the street or a woman on the street. Ask silly questions or ask questions that require weird answers or I don't know, but give us that stuff for the street. It's cheap programming. It's easy to do if you've got the right person holding the microphone. It's gold, Jerry.
Right.
Gold.
Right. Hey, did you ever watch a show called The Buzz with Darren Jones and Mr. Mo? Does this resonate with you? Okay.
I know who Darren Jones is.
Yeah,
Did he do some sports?
Well, he's now like on, I don't know, one of those 92.5 or something. But this show, Darren Jones and Mr. Mo was exactly that. And I always think, when I think about the streeters, I always think of Stuttering John, right? This is what Howard Stern, it's really cheap programming. Just throw them out there and yeah, go.
The best Stuttering John I ever heard was back in the day where he had gone to a baseball banquet, writer's banquet or whatever, and the legendary Ted Williams was there.
Right.
Right? Ted Williams had no idea who Stuttering John was, didn't know who Howard Stern was, and didn't know that he was going to be pranked. And so Stuttering John is doing the interview, and Stern does the introduction and says, all right, so Stuttering John went to the Baseball Writers Hall of Fame dinner, blah, 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 and he ran into the legendary Ted Williams. And then they roll the tape, and you hear Stuttering John go, hello, Mr. Williams, can I do I'm Stuttering John from Howard Stern. So Williams, all right, sure. And Stuttering John says, the year that you hit 406 in dementia, what was that like? So Williams going, well, blah, 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 blah. And then he asks another softball question, and Williams answers that. And then he goes, did you ever fart in the catcher's face? And there's a pause. And what the hell kind of question is that? Who the hell are you? It was brilliant.
Yes, I've heard that one. That's
absolutely brilliant.
Well, let's speak to this the gambling gambler, as I call him on The Simpsons, but that seems to be taking over sports media. Is this the future of sports media in this country, gambling?
Yes. When I see Natasha Stanishevsky doing ads for a gambling site that I've never heard of and popping up in people's living rooms while watching the games on these commercials. Hi, I'm Natasha Stanishevsky. You remember me from TSN, and go to bet whatever it is. No, it's not Bodog. Anyway, and so in the commercial, there's people sitting on a couch watching a game, and then the camera pans over, and there's Natasha sitting there, like those McCain Wedges commercials. Remember?
Of course.
Hi, I'm here, and she's sitting on the couch cheering with them. So they've taken that idea and they've said, "Come on, Natasha, you'll be the spokesperson for this gambling site," which I think is Western Canadian based because I think she's back in Alberta now. And I'm like, oh, okay. So Cabby's coming back, not to do Cabby on the street, although who knows what it's going to look like, whatever the show he's on, but it's going to be about gambling so that every game, every player, every play, you can make a bet on. And that's what they want to do. Single event betting is now here. It's legal. You can bet on one game. You can bet on the Leafs every game.
Right.
If you're a Leaf fan, you can bet against the Leafs and hedge your bets. So if the Leafs lose, you can make money. Right? I know people like that. They're thrilled if the Leafs win because they're Leaf fans. They don't mind losing money if the Leafs win. But if the Leafs lose, they want to make some money.
Interesting.
It happens too often.
Like hedging
it's
your
weird.
bets. Well, to me,
weird.
that means you'll never be fully satisfied.
Well, that's not hedging your bet, Mike.
No.
Because unless they had money on the Leafs.
Right, but your
so
heart.
It's the emotional investment versus the financial investment.
Right. Interesting.
You see what I'm saying?
Well,
like, how much would you pay
for
the Leafs to win the Stanley Cup?
Is that a real question?
Yes.
0. Like if I
you're not a gambler though.
But I wouldn't pay to me if it happened because I bet on it or whatever. That's not the way it's supposed to happen. It's supposed to happen organically, so I have no interest in making it happen. It needs to actually happen, if you will.
Right. So to get people to watch games and thereby spend their money on the sponsors' products or services, the games that they're watching, to get those eyeballs, you got to have something more than, Columbus is playing Phoenix. You got to have teasers. You got to have bets. You got to have something going so that you'll watch that game. And when you watch that game or listen to that game, you're going to hear those sponsors' commercials. And you're going to go, I'm going to buy that product or call about that service or whatever. And that's what they want. So even though it's a meaningless game, you don't care, you don't have any emotional investment in either team, you got a couple of bucks going on the game, man.
And you nailed it because
it's on TV. What am I doing for 2.5 hours on a Thursday night? I'm going to watch the hockey game, maybe make a couple of bucks.
And let's face it, so long as these DraftKings and Bodogs and these other players, so long as they're spending millions and millions of dollars, these, TSN and Sportsnet are very happy to cash these checks, and they'll build shows around it if the money's there. So that's why you got Matt Cause hosting a 3-hour show Monday through Friday on TSN all about gambling and betting, because the companies that want to reach that audience are going to pay for it.
But Mike, also the teams that are playing in those games, the players are all promoting gambling sites. They know. The NFL knows. They've known for years. Now let's just open it up. It's the Wild West. Let's go. How much money can we make? How much money are advertisers willing to spend to have their patches on our jerseys or helmets or whatever it is? Mike, it's open season. The amount of money that's being made by college kids alone just for promoting anything and putting it on their social media sites so that their thousands and millions of followers will follow them and buy those products that they're endorsing. Are you kidding me, man? We're a bunch of suckers anyway. We're so easily influenced as human beings.
Is this the future of Hebsy on sports? Is this going to become a gambling podcast? Because you might need a new co-host.
No gambling lines, nothing. Have you ever heard me say it?
No.
Maybe once in a while it seems a 6.5 point pick or whatever, but not often at all. Because I love it for the sport, not because I can gamble on it. Anyway.
Right.
Adam Seaborn, who I follow on Twitter because he's a noted media watcher who tracks sports and gambling and advertising, predicts that TSN Radio 1050 will not exist 12 months from now. Outside of the show Overdrive, he says there's virtually no audience for the radio station. Like, what do you think? You think they're just conceding defeat to Fan 590? Are they worried maybe that a sports podcast hosted by some hack former TV anchor from a previous generation might be drawing way more listeners than their Farkukta radio station?
Yeah, they don't care. They don't care if there's any listeners. I feel like it's literally there. They make their money on the TV side at TSN, and that station will exist beyond. I'll take that bet against, what's the gentleman's name? Adam? I'll take that bet that TSN radio is around beyond 12 months because it just needs to exist. It doesn't have to have listeners.
Why? Andy Petrillo decided to leave Leafs Lunch, a show she had anchored for many, many years. She said she needed a better work-life balance. Is it possible that they said, look, Andy, we can't afford to pay you. We don't want to pay anybody except for Jeff O'Neill, Brian Hayes, and Jamie McLennan, and whoever's doing our morning show this week.
Without a doubt.
And
without a doubt.
Matt Cause gets no money. He only gets gambling vouchers. He gets paid in gambling money.
Well, he probably makes some money from that gambling.
No. I'm telling you, he's getting paid in gambling dollars.
Is that speculation?
$3,000 a week, whatever it is, gambling dollars. Got to gamble it. I don't know. I'm kidding. But
I got to clarify these things.
Possibly that's the way it is. I don't think that's a big paying gig. I don't think anybody there's making any kind of money.
Right, no. Andy Petrillo left because it was a lot of work for very little money. Yeah, without a doubt. And she has other things going on.
It was more. See, that's the other thing. How many people, Mike, do you know that pre-pandemic were doing this much work for this much salary? And now it seems that they're doing a lot more work for the same amount of money, and there's no opportunity to make more. Like their bosses basically said, look, you ain't going to be making more money. Forget that. But we are going to ask you to do more work. And eventually you go, okay, I've reached the point where I don't want to do this work for this little amount of money. And I think you're right. That's where Andy Petrillo and others who are leaving. It's just because I can't make any money. But I can make money if I'm, doing stuff for a gambling site. That's where the money is. Not in terrestrial broadcasting, but in being part of a show that's sponsored by a gambling site. They'll pay you the money. They will pay you the money to promote their site.
Yes.
Gamble with us.
That's where the money is. They're throwing a lot of money around.
Every sport you're talking about a betting line on that game, that sport. Could be a tennis match. I just did a bunch of commercials for a particular betting site. I can't say which one, where they used my voice for like tennis stuff,
Yep. Everything.
40-30 match point. I mean, you can bet on tennis. Of course you can bet on tennis. You can bet on what? How many sets it go? How many points? Like what? How many aces are served? How many unforced errors are? Yes, you can.
Yep.
You can bet on all those things.
Anything.
So I'm going to watch a tennis match between the 152nd ranked female and then 89th ranked, neither of whose names I can pronounce. I don't even know what countries they're from, but I can bet on anything because I got nothing else to do on a Friday night at like 11:30 at night, and there's a tennis match on from Moldova or something like that. So, but I can bet on it. That's where things are going to go.
Can you bet on pickleball?
Soon you will be able to. We had a fantastic pickleball match when we were in Peterborough, as a matter of fact. It was a pickup pickleball match.
I want to play. I want to play. I've never played. Like at some point I need to make my pickleball debut, and I'd like to do it with Hebsy Man.
Well, go get a racket.
Is that
okay? Find a court.
Okay. I need somebody to coach me through it, though. I'm not.
No, I'm not going to. Look, I got my own problems. I'm not a pickleball coach. I love the sport. I enjoy the workout, the camaraderie, the social aspect of it. Doubles is a lot of fun. Good workout. Singles is a great workout. But, sorry, Mike, I'm not at the stage in my life where I'm going to teach you or advise you on your pickleball career.
Hey, quick questions coming in live on your YouTube channel from Andrew Ward. And he's asking, did Natasha get rehired by TSN? So for the record, Natasha is just working for a gambling company. And I guess she shows up wherever they buy ad space.
Yeah, the commercials, I guess it could have been on Sportsnet. It could have been on TSN. I don't know.
Okay.
Do you remember where you saw the commercials?
Well, okay. I was going to ask you about Chris Johnston real quick, because it sounds like it sounds like his contract was not renewed by Sportsnet. And then he found a new gig working essentially for what sounds like it's a gambling site. Like, yes, he'll be in the Toronto Star, but I think that's paid for by this gambling site too. Like, I think Chris Johnston is also, and even Kyprios, I think. So Kyprios is now working for some gambling site. It seems like this is the afterlife for mainstream media sports personalities. They can get money from this gambling consortium.
Well, if they have a platform like we do here, like if I did NFL picks every week, they pretty much guarantee you that one of the gambling sites would say, hey, let's make it sponsored by Bodog.
Right.
As long as you're talking. But I don't normally do it. Would I do it as a commercial venture? Sure, it would fit into the structure of the show.
Yeah.
I don't think the listeners would mind if, hey, you're talking about Crosswinds Golf and how much you love it there and you have for years and they're a sponsor of yours. And, a lot of the listeners have played at Crosswinds or told their friends, hey, check it out because Hebsy endorses it. that, like anything else, the company would have to be a solid company, and it would have to be something that I enjoy anyway. And I do enjoy watching sports on TV. I'm not a bettor per se, but it doesn't mean I wouldn't accept money from a company to talk about their website and to go to that website and see all the different things. Maybe it's not just single game gambling. Maybe it's other things. Maybe it's enter a draft with your friends and see if your fantasy team is better than their fantasy team. And that's where gambling websites are not as they appear to be. They're set up as a full kind of a menu that has many, many options. You don't have to just gamble and bet your money with us on a game. You can invest your time and money with us in other ways. You can join a pool. You can play a contest, all that kind of stuff. Come on over. We got freebies for you. And that's what draws people. You mean I get a $10 betting voucher? I don't have to spend it just for joining? 20, whatever it is.
Right.
We want to get you in the door. We want to get you to our website. We want you to see the numerous possibilities of being part of this gambling website or this site, how much you're going to enjoy it, your community of friends that also like to gamble on games. And we're going to have you tweeting out and going on social media, telling people about your wonderful experience with this betting site and how great that victory was by the Giants last night, blah, blah, blah. Great. I wouldn't mind if they've got the money and it's a product or a service that I think is a good one and I'd be interested in, then yeah, of course, man.
Happy 250th, Hebsy. It's been a pleasure to be a part of these 250 episodes, and I hope we do 250 more.
Thank you, Mike. And thank you to the listeners. So that'll do it. Episode 250 down and 250 more to go. Hope you enjoyed this special anniversary edition. And it really was. We had guests lined up. We had stories to tell. And thanks as always to Toronto Mike for production and inspiration and for the kind words. I couldn't have done any of the 250 episodes without you. No, I mean it. I couldn't.
Technically.
Get there. Thanks also to our fabulous sponsor, Crosswinds Golf and Country Club in Burlington. Go to crosswindsgolf.com and book your tee time online today. And this space available. If you are an advertiser or you're thinking of advertising your product or service, look me up.
And the numbers have never been better. I see the numbers, never been better. And the community is really engaged too. So step up now or you'll live to regret it.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you all. Thanks for allowing us into your headspace. Back with another edition of Hebsy on Sports next week. Until then, so long for now. This podcast has been produced by TMDS and accelerated by Roam Phone. Roam Phone brings you the most reliable virtual phone service to run your business and protect your home number from unwanted calls. Visit roamphone.ca to get started.
Let's say goodbye to the YouTube audience.
Thank you, my friends, for tuning in every week. You guys are great. The numbers have been phenomenal. Thank you.